to the COP27 Food Day, which is so exciting. And if you work in food, today is going to be a busy day. We have a huge number of events happening across all the pavilions talking about food. And today we're starting here in the same way. My name's Paul Newnham. I'm the Executive Director at the SDG2 Advocacy Hub. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the campaign, and then we're going to have some exciting guests come in and talk to us. So if you're joining online or you're here in the room, we just want to make you feel welcome. And we are going to have a bit of fun. We're going to try and have some fun. And I was talking to one of our speakers, and she said she's going to give me a hard time if we don't have fun. So we're going to make sure that we have some fun. I would like to just thank the UN Climate Change Global Innovation Hub for hosting us today. There's going to be other events here during the day that you won't want to miss, talking about innovation, talking about the connections between climate and nutrition, lots of different other challenges. If you're using social media, please use the hashtag #BeansIsHow, and obviously the other COP hashtags. So I want to start by just launching in. We face a challenge. There's a global food crisis at the moment, alongside a climate crisis and a cost of living crisis. We have 3 billion people globally suffering some form of malnutrition, and the number of people affected by hunger is increasing. In 2021, as many as 828 million people were affected by hunger globally, and almost 3.1 billion people couldn't afford a healthy diet. We're seeing rising temperatures that are accelerating environmental degradation, weather extremes, and also natural disasters. This is causing biodiversity loss and impacts all across our climate. We also are seeing a series of events across the world leading to inflation and a rise in the cost of consumer goods. This is across food, utilities, and fuel. And many individuals are really lacking the proper safety nets to weather these shocks. So we need to urgently reverse the continuous move to unhealthy, fragile food systems. We need to create a shift to more resilient and more sustainable farming production and food consumption. And we need to get people excited. We need to think, how can we get people excited about food that's good for them, that's nutritious, that's good for the environment, and that's good for the farmers? So we need to offer also, in doing this, solutions that are affordable, accessible, and available to all. So how do we drive change? We've been asking some key questions. We've been saying, how can we find solutions to some of these questions in the crises that we face? How do we enjoy sustainable yet nutritious meals? How can we feed a fragile world and protect the environment? You might think sometimes that we need some new technology, some superior innovation that's conceived by some of our greatest scientists. But often you can find solutions in unexpected places. And you might even find some in your cupboard, in your pantry, or in your field. And we think beans can be an answer to these questions. So Beans is How is an ambitious campaign that we've mobilized to double the global consumption of beans. And we're talking about the broader family of peas, pulses, lentils, and legumes. And we want to do this by 2028. This campaign is going to look at how do we amplify and make visible the importance of beans as a simple solution to our global, financial, health, and climate problems. And we're going to try and uplift policy, academic research, and get stakeholders to work together around this ambitious target and goals. So why beans? They're tiny, but they're mighty. They're charming, but they're disruptive. I've got in my pocket some beans from Rwanda that I picked up in the market, and you look at them and they're just beautiful. And beans can be this future that we want to create. They've been cultivated for centuries. and they've provided vital nutrition for both people and soils. Beans are nutritious. Often people talk about them as protein, but they also have dietary fiber, iron, zinc, B vitamins, and many other important vitamins and minerals. They're also affordable, and this is so important at the moment. They're an excellent source. They're one of the most widely consumed food types in many low-income settings. They can also be really tasty, and they can be absolutely, there's so many different varieties. Maybe here, while you've been in Egypt, you've tasted beans for breakfast, one of the national dishes. And there's so many different dishes around the world that are of beans. Beans are also very resilient. They're able to circumnavigate some of the big challenges faced by the production of perishables or crops, depending on specific conditions. They can be grown from sea level right through to 3,000 meters, and they can even be grown in poor or harsh soils. They're also very marketable, we believe. And they can, they have these nutritious benefits that can be sold and really talked about. And they also can be a farmer's friend, and we'll hear from some farmers today who talk about beans, and of course, why wouldn't they be planting them? Because they can be a cornerstone of agroecology. They enable nitrogen to can be converted to the soil, and they can also really drive forward change in that soil. So I want to tell you just a little bit about this campaign and just the journey that we're on. So this was developed as an idea at the UN Food Systems Summit, and in a side meeting where we were talking about what could we do to really accelerate change. And Chef Sam Kass was in the meeting, and he said, this is an idea. Why don't we focus on one thing and see what we can do with that? What if everyone rallied around that and we brought some of our best minds around that? And so that's how we started. We then announced the campaign in Rwanda alongside President Kagame at the AGRF, and it's great to have Jennifer here from the AGRF. Why Rwanda? Rwanda is the largest consumer of beans per capita in the world. And so it was really significant for us to be able to announce this campaign there. We had beans on the menu at the presidential gala. We had PABRA celebrate its 25th anniversary, and so that's the Pan-African Bean Research Alliance, which is an amazing group to have a look at and see some of the work they're doing. There was, right from the First Ladies panel of Rwanda, there was commitments to championing beans. So amazing. We had a local artist create a map of the world out of beans. There was just so many elements of just really exciting bean activation. We had a number of chefs come together and go to visit some WFP school meals programs and see beans in school meals. So lots of different things. We then went on to the UN General Assembly, where we co-hosted an event with Google, where we brought together a range of actors, and we all ate beans from all over the world, all kinds of innovative dishes, all different kinds of cuisines, and it was just really, really amazing to see how this all came together. Lots of different discussions and connections around different types of food. So we're excited. This is just the beginning. We're excited about moving this forward after today's launch, and we're counting on all of you to be a part of that as we go forward. We're going to be moving towards the World Pulse Day and just how we move that forward into the new year as well. We've just given you a quick feel. We've launched. We have a website, Beans is How, Twitter and Instagram. Check it out. You can go there, and we're just trying to put some of the information there as we go forward. Looking ahead, so we've got a whole bunch of bean swag that's coming together. We've got different things that are coming to promote the campaign. I'm going to ask now for somebody who's got the best bean fact. Has anyone got a fact about beans that they would like to share? There might be something in it for you. Who knows something about beans? There's some people in this room that do. Anyone? There's a prize. Everyone needs a prize. There's a prize. We have one. Okay. Have we got a microphone? Perfect.
This is my only bean fact that I know. But the beans are a part of the legume family, which is also where peanuts and beans are in the same family of legumes. That's the only fact about beans that I know. And it's always shocked me. Amanda.
Give Amanda a t-shirt. Okay. Did I see another handout? I saw one here.
Yes, I'm from Mozambique. And one of our province, we have 11 provinces. One of province called Niassa, he produces a lot of beans. But the problem, the people needed to be educated about the protein that we are talking about. We still needed to do education on nutrition so people can eat what they are producing. Thank you.
Thank you. And would you like a t-shirt? Sorry? We're giving you a t-shirt. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, let's keep moving. Thank you, guys. You know, you got a good job. Hands up. So looking ahead, we are going to be launching into the next year, 2023 and beyond, a range of different innovations and initiatives with partners to really think about how do we get beans to be more accessible, for people to be excited about them, to make them a little bit more sexy. And I don't know if I'm the only one saying sexy at COP, but let's get that out there. But let's try and make this more attractive. So we're going to be looking at a number of global activations across global events that are happening, from Gulf Food to Davos to World Pulse Day to World Food Day to COP28 and beyond. We're going to then be also looking at how we build high-level bean champions, so talking to people who can talk about beans. I saw in the newspaper the other day, one of the national football teams said that they eat beans before they play every game, and those kinds of messages really matter for really getting across the importance of really eating this kind of food. So we're going to be thinking about chefs, farmers, nutritionists, artists, and trying to get influencers on board. There's going to be a number of marketing and publicity campaigns that are going to happen. We'll start in different markets, but we'd love to talk to people about how we could partner to really expand this. There's going to be some work with chefs working on recipe development and really developing that. And then also a retail campaign that we're talking with a number of retailers about how do we position beans to be more accessible in store? How do we get them to the front? How do we put them there and give them that prominence that actually enables people to drive forward change? So we've also got some ideas building around research, looking at how we map impact, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But if you have ideas for 2023 and beyond, please let us know. Our team are here. There's some cards around. Please just get in contact and we'll take that from there. So I want to now just present the Bean Coalition. So this is something that is open for others to join, but this is as of today, and we had somebody sign up last night, a number of companies and partners and civil society groups that are represented here in the room and others that are joining that are coming on board for this Beans is How Coalition. And what we're looking for is others to join. We would love you to be a part of this, to look at your local context, to look at a regional or global. We've got different players, but I think when we come together around an idea and we each bring something, we're asking our partners to commit an idea for how they're going to contribute to doubling global bean consumption in the first year of the campaign. What are they going to do? Are they going to bring awareness? Are they going to bring research? Are they going to bring resources? What's the thing that they can do to really drive this forward? And I think, as you can see, many different groups there from very different parts of the world with different perspectives. And that's what this kind of idea can bring together, where we can think from climate to nutrition to cost, all different spaces. So I just really want to thank them for coming together. So in this coalition, if you do want to join, there's a coalition member application. We would then add your logo to the digital and print communications and share your commitment. So this will be something we'll be coming back at each of these COPs and other parts to talk about what's happening. This is about how. It's not just a what. We're actually about action. We want to see progress. We want to see people doing things, and this is really key. And so if there's people in this room that have amazing reach, people online that can get out, and so we would love you to be a part of this. Another area that we've built around this is a science in an innovation advisory council, and there's many people in this room that are a part of this. And this is really about helping to build and drive the research and innovation agenda of the campaign. So we've brought together some of the most creative global thinkers to talk about beans. And the idea of this is they're going to help us with working out the claims that we can make about beans so that people, I think, understand then why beans are important. What can they do? What's the impact? How can you see it? What does that look like in soil? What does that look like in communications? How do we do that? So this group is going to be coming together and meeting soon, and then working on this research and innovation agenda as we go forward. So if you'll see some of the people in the room here today. You can have a look. We are going to be meeting on the 14th of November, just across the way, where we're going to be in the Food and Agriculture Pavilion to have a conversation. And it's going to be a panel with some of the members of that science advisory group. So if you're interested in that, come along, ask them a question, say, help me understand, because these guys are the experts. That's what we're bringing them together around this. So it's 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., which I know is a bit challenging in terms of time and in the COP world, but we'd love to see you over there. I'd like to just introduce 2 bean champions, and unfortunately we're unable to be here, so we're going to hear from them via video. But we have 2 bean champions who are going to deliver a bit of a keynote here. Dr. Agnes Kalibata, the President of AGRA, and the UN Food System Special Envoy from the summit last year, Chef Sam Kass, who is author, founder, and chef, was head of food policy at the White House and the Obama's chef there. And so I'm going to turn to the video, and we're going to see some short greetings from both of them.
My name is Agnes Kalibata. It's a pleasure to be sharing with you via video today. I am the president of AGRA and a self-appointed bean champion. Personally, I have a deep connection to beans. I grew up in Rwanda, a country that has the highest diversity of beans, but where people eat beans 3 times a day. The beans is how mission is critical. 3 billion people globally are still suffering from malnutrition, and the number of people affected by hunger is increasing. Around 1 billion people are obese. We can and must reverse these trends. We need to raise awareness and excite people about food that is good for people's nutrition, for our planet and the environment, and for prosperity and farmers. Beans, legumes, pulses, and peas come in thousands of varieties. They are affordable, accessible, and versatile. They are integral to many cultures and the diets around the world. Beans are an excellent crop for farmers to grow, and they fix nitrogen to the soil, contributing to soil health. I grew up eating beans, and so did every other kid today in boarding school in Africa. So I get it if you don't want to see another bean. But beans are good for you and for the environment. More importantly, every time you eat beans, you support a family, have a better income and nutrition, and you support the health of our environment. So, my call to you today is eat beans, grow beans, and invest in beans.
Hi everybody, my name is Sam Kass. I have a lot going on. I'm partner at ACRE and co-founder of Spring Foods and Food Strategy for Do Good Foods and a bunch of other things. I formerly was President Obama, Michelle Obama's chef, as well as ran their food policy efforts. And I love beans. I am now an official bean champion, and which means I finally made it. I cook beans, I grow beans, I eat beans. I sort of from start to finish. think that beans hold the real promise to help improve the lives of people all over the world. And I think coming together to help elevate and lift up and focus on how we can come together around a simple act to help shape what ultimately ends up on people's plates is what's possible here. There's all kinds of complexity on a global basis in how we feed ourselves, and every place is different and has all kinds of nuance and all different threads that make up how food ends up on our plate. And I think oftentimes we get caught up in all that complexity and it ends up paralyzing us as a community who's trying to make change. And there's a real power in deciding, let's all focus on one outcome. Let's all show ourselves that we can move one product that we know is one of the most sustainable products that you can grow. Of course, our beans fix nitrogen. They're critical to any kind of healthy crop rotation. Number two, they're as nutrient dense as any food you can eat. They are just so good for you. They're little nuggets of greatness, and they are extremely affordable and pretty much ubiquitous around the world. That means that it's one of those foods that has real potential, that everybody has some kind of relationship with. But compared to other products, we could be eating more beans and less of things that are having a negative impact on our health, a negative impact on the environment, and collectively we can make huge impact. Personally, I've basically never met a bean I didn't like, but I love yellow-eyed beans. They're just plump and creamy and delicious, and I do love, cooking them as you would. There's all kinds of ways to cook them, but I'll take like a quarter of them, drain them with a little, drain most of the liquid, take a little bit of that, puree it up, and then fold them back in, so you get a really kind of creamy dish, even though it's just the beans themselves. I think with dishes like that, we can change the world. So my challenge to you is help us prove to ourselves that when we focus on something collectively, we can really make a big impact. We can say, this year, this many more plates of beans we'll consume. To do that, we're going to need everybody's help. We're going to need chefs to put more beans on our menus, and we're going to have to make beans sexy. So that means some chefs can help with that. We're going to need celebrities and leaders and grandmas and all kinds of everybody to come together and say, hey, let's lift this up and show everybody what we can do. So it's going to be a fun year. A year after that, we're going to get to work. We're calling on everybody to play a part. And look, I don't care where you sit, wherever you are, at the very least, you can at least eat an extra serving of beans once a week. That's in and of itself. That's 52 more servings in a year. I mean, think about that. If everybody just said, all right, I'm going to eat one more serving of beans a week, think about how that adds up. We can do something big here. So thank you for your support. I can't wait to see what comes out of this. And here's to beans.
Well, thank you to Agnes and Sam. So I'm going to now invite up two guests. So I'm going to invite, yes, you've got a microphone? We'll get you a microphone.
You want me to speak, eh?
Of course I want you to speak. So we've got Gerda Verburg here, who is the coordinator of the Scaling Up Nutrition movement and United Nations Assistant Secretary General, and Dr. Andy Jarvis, who is the Director of the Future of Food at the Bezos Earth Fund. So welcome. So we're going to launch straight in. I want to know, favorite bean? Tell me.
Sorry?
Favorite bean? Do you have a favorite?
It depends on the food that is made out of it.
Okay.
I want food, including beans, to serve my nutrition, my meal. And in the morning, I need to have a breakfast that is helping me through the day.
Yes.
So I want to see which beans are helpful for this and how we can make a very tasty, but also a very nutritious and energetic breakfast. And for that reason, I don't have favorites, because favorites not always make it.
Awesome.
It's the broadness, it's the richness, it's the variety, not only of beans, but also of people to work with.
I love that. Diversity. Andy.
Well, I had some chickpea hummus for breakfast, which was very nice, but I'm going to geek out. My favorite bean is G14519. Anyone know what that is?
Say more.
Have you eaten a G14519? It's not from Star Wars. This is an accession from the gene bank of SEAT that basically has been the basis for iron beans.
Oh, wow.
And some of you here, maybe we heard from Agnes from Rwanda, iron beans in Rwanda have been given to people. And with that enhanced iron, that biofortified iron in the beans, it's been shown to improve the health of pregnant women. And it has, in the case of kids, kids during pregnancy and then into the first 100 days, basically it enhances the cognitive capacity of kids. And so that's the power of a humble bean.
Amazing. So Gerda, you talked about diversity, nutritional benefits. Tell me more. What's your message to this group?
Well, I don't have a message, because we have had already a commercial of 25 minutes, and good for you, Paul, because this is a campaign. But I am a farmer's daughter. I'm the coordinator of the Scaling Up Nutrition movement, but I'm also a farmer's daughter. And when I visited an event, came back, my family, 7 brothers and 2 sisters, were asking me, so where have you been? And what is in it for us? For us as farmers, for us as family, where do we start? What can we make, what can we learn from it? What can we make out of it? And we were also consumers, of course. So they are also asking, okay, do you have nice recipes? Are you able to cook a very good recipe, etc.? So I would like to know who is in this room. And if you allow me, let me ask you, who in this room is connected to farmers? Quite some. So you have very concrete asks and you want to bring something back to your farm, to your farmers organization, to your community. Who here is connected to a research institute? Also quite some. Very good. And who is connected to political advisory, policy advice? Very good. Very mixed.
It's a good mix.
Okay. And I think all of you are here to get something out of it, because otherwise running around here like crazy doesn't make sense if you cannot bring something to your core business and if it's not helpful for when you are back. So let us focus on this. And finally, I'm a consumer, so I don't see many chefs. I have to write to Sam Kass maybe to get the nice recipes, because I'm also a foodie. And I want to eat very tasty, and my eyes need to be already challenged by what I see as a food. So give me the menus and let me support me in bringing this home and serving my family with a lovely meal that is created of beans. So I'm very pragmatic and very down to earth. Further to this, looking around the world, I see floods in Pakistan. We know there are floods in Nigeria. We know there have been floods in Ghana, and in so many other people's Kenya there is big drought. So farmers need to start all over again. Can beans help farmers to start? Can beans help to prepare the ground for the next harvest? Because that is where farmers are all about. So I would like to ask these questions in this session, and then I'm open to any commercial, but I want to have my questions answered so that I can bring something home to my family, home to my brothers and sisters, and home to my Scaling Up Nutrition movement, in which there are 65 countries and they all have their challenges. Thanks.
Thank you, Gerda. So there is, can I just say, we have 4 recipes on the website already. We're going to have more. They will be available. There's also some guidelines on growing beans, which we need some more help around, but we will get there. But I would encourage you to take those recipes home, cook them for the kids or for the family, and then bring them to, send me a photo. I'd love to see it. But let's send it to the Scaling Up Nutrition Network and see if they can also share some of their recipes and some of their advice. But I like this practicality, and I like how you've just raised the need us to all come together around this, but with action. That's what we really need. So hold us to account on this. Andy, research innovation, you talked a little bit about, and I can't recall the number, but high iron beans, which is innovation. It's driving that forward. I've seen them in Cali, Colombia, the research center. Talk to me a little bit about what are some of the gaps on innovation. What are some of the things that you would like to deliver as a message here?
Okay, and I'm going to follow the lead. I'm going to stand up because we're kind of down there. You've got to get Sam to visit Gerda's kitchen and do this.
Let's do that.
I mean, come on,
now there's an idea.
Get out into people's kitchens and get this going. So
that would be good.
I mean, first of all, I mean, if you look at emissions from food, it's a huge piece of the problem right now in terms of emissions. And one of those big wedges, if we're going to reduce emissions, is diet shifts. But too much of that conversation is about what you shouldn't eat. And that is a very problematic message to be sending out. No one likes to be told what not to do. But I think the thing that I love about this is saying what's good. This is giving the message of hope. And you've selected the right thing, beans, because it's truly no regret. You eat more beans, you're more healthy. You eat more beans, you're helping the planet, no matter what, right? So the worst thing about scientists is they always answer, well, it depends. With beans, it doesn't depend. You have a no regret scenario. So that's why I think this is fantastic. The second thing, though, is then, so on this innovation side, we need to educate consumers about the choices they're making and what it does for planet, for people, for themselves, etc. And so beans has an amazing narrative behind it where you can have all sorts of entry points for doing that. And I think in the innovation side and the knowledge, I think we need to dig into, well, what is in a bean? What's in beans? And so we do know macronutrients and micronutrients. We know it's great for zinc, it's great for iron, but a food will have thousands of compounds in it. And we only know a tip of the iceberg of really what is in these things. So one area is, I think, we really need to dig into this. And what is in there that's affecting cognitive capacity, that it is affecting certain things of health. If you have, perhaps you have depression, maybe in the bean, something that is supporting mental health issues. So we need to understand better the role of food and human health, and that's by looking into it, what's in there. The other is, if we produce beans in different systems, it's always going to be one of those top crops in terms of sustainability. But if we put it in regenerative systems, what does that do in terms of the carbon footprint? What does that do in terms of the sustainability of that system? What does it do in terms of the content of the bean and the health benefits that it brings? And so I think there's a lot to do there. And there's a lot just to educate people through this about all the myriad of impacts that the food that's on your table has. And so educate people about those choices. If you eat bean, this is having this positive impact across the planet.
Thank you, Andy. And look, I mean, this is an insightful points, and I think they're very direct. And what I've heard is we have a call to action. We need practical actions for farmers, for consumers, for the policy community to drive forward. We heard beans are great because it's about what you should eat, and we need to package this message for consumers. We need to understand the role of food and human health better and how we communicate that. And I think this is really practical to take back. Any final word, Gerda?
Yes, because I very much like your summary, but I don't agree with it because you operate a little bit supply-driven. You're trying to sell things to us. what is important that people who share messages, that they know the demand with which people come. What they want to bring home. If I was bringing home nothing after 1 day or 2 days traveling somewhere, my brothers, and I have 7 brothers, told me next time, I don't think you're going there, because what is in it for us? So look around, be aware of the demand and the needs, and then respond in a tailor-made way to the needs. And the big needs right now is farmers who want to think about the next harvest. Do they get starting material? Do they get support for growing the beans? Is there a marketplace? Are there local chefs, etc.? So look a little bit from the demand side, and you won't have any trouble in double the consumption of beans, because people are eager to get answers to their really needs.
Thank you, Gerda. Andy, anything?
So I've got homework for you all, right? So, I mean, this is really what needs to happen is conversations around food, right? COP has been conversations about the lack of food and the poor quality of food, and it needs to turn around. And so the homework for all of you is to go home, when you get there with your families and you sit down for a dinner, instead of talking about the problems of this COP, talk about this, and talk about beans, and introduce the topic. And if you can invite a few other people and you give them that homework, 6 dinners later, everybody on the planet has heard this message. And so that's your job, okay?
Let me challenge you as well, because this will only be successful if you don't do this over barbecue. Okay, thank you very much. If you don't do this over a barbecue, but if you are able to put on a delicious meal made of beans, then you can have the conversation. Otherwise, my brothers would say, we know what we are eating, and now you're telling me a fairy tale about beans. Okay for you, but we want to have the real stuff. So then prepare a very delicious, tasty, sexy meal out of beans. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you to Andy and Gerda. Thank you very much. I absolutely love the challenge, and we will respond. We will get those conversations going, Andy. We will start to get the conversation going in the action. So we're gonna now hear from the Chief Growth Officer and Sustainability Officer for Kraft, Heinz. She isn't able to be with us, but they've been an amazing, valuable partner right from the beginning of this campaign, really helping come on board and really drive forward this ambition. And so Christina, Kenz is going to now just share a very short meeting, and then we're going to message, and then we're going to have one other small panel.
Hello, I'm Christina Kenz. I'm the Chief Growth and Sustainability Officer for Kraft Heinz, and I'm here to discuss why this coalition, the Beans is How coalition, is important for us. We started harvesting, cooking, and eating beans as Heinz in 1902, so more than 120 years ago, and ever since we haven't looked back. Beans are an amazing source of protein. It's an amazing product. You can actually enjoy a lot eating beans. And it's also a beautiful way to respect our earth, to really utilize agriculture, to make sure that we are creating a future for us, where there is food and great food for everyone. This is why we're behind this coalition, and this is why we want to defend the superpower that beans have. Beans is a superfood, and we're here to defend that. So thank you.
Perfect. So thank you, Christina. I'm going to now invite our next panel. So Jennifer Bahn, the Head of Partnerships for AGRA and the Acting Managing Director at AGRF. Stefina Avanzi, the Director of the One Planet Business for Biodiversity, OP2B, at the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, and Elizabeth Nsamdala, the President of the East Africa Farmers Federation. Thank you. So, thank you. We've had a very dynamic conversation. we're gonna continue. So, Elizabeth, I'm going to go to you. Gerda talked a little bit about farmers. Talk to me. Why are beans so important for farmers?
Which one?
It's working.
And give it to him.
No? Use this.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. And thank you for inviting farmers to this important discussion, which is very close and dear to our hearts. As I was introduced, I'm Elizabeth. I'm a farmer. And not just a farmer, but a bean farmer. And I'm also the president of the Eastern Africa Farmers Federation, which covers the 10 countries of Eastern Africa. So Paul, I would like shortly to take you to my farm. Yeah. My farm is located in Bushenyi district in southwestern Uganda. For those of you who have been to southwestern Uganda, when I talk about beans or when I talk about food, then you will appreciate what I'm talking about. Because we are the food basket of Uganda, the region where I come from. And it's because beans are part of what we produce. And they are the ones that have made us to make it as a food basket of the country. For us, beans is not just beans. It's not just food. It's our tradition. It's our culture. It is something that is transitional, that you can pass on to the next generation. All my 37 years, I've lived on beans. It's my life. Because in our home, beans have never missed on our menu. And why? Because they can be intercropped. I come from a region that grows bananas and coffee as main crops. So we can intercrop them on our farms. The seeds are accessible. They're easy to access. There's also a lot of research in Uganda by our national government. So it is easy to access bean seed. Then when it comes to the extension or the service bit, beans is short maturing. So it is easy for insurance companies to give insurance to the bean farmers. Then also when it comes to financing, because it is a short maturing crop and it is predictable, banks and financial institutions are willing to lend to the bean farmers. In terms of extension, beans are drought tolerant. Beans are pest tolerant. So it is a crop that is, I would call poor farmer friendly. When it comes to market, beans market is stable. It's not like any other crop that fluctuates. The region, the Eastern Africa region is also known for production, for example, of maize. But when you look at maize prices, they always fluctuate. But bean prices have been stable, very stable. In terms of the nutrition aspect, beans are, I would say, a substitute to meat. Yeah. They are rich in nutrition. So for me, it should, I think the ambition is even small. You know, when we say doubling global consumption of beans, for me, it should be even tripling the consumption of beans. Because I have beans 3 times a day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah. And when it comes to making the different, species, I'm not a professional chef, but I can make over 30 dishes from beans. Wow. And beans, we start eating them from leaves. When we eat bean leaves, we can eat them as sauce, we can eat them as mashed, we can mix them in with bananas, with Irish, with anything. So I would say it is a crop that is the right one for food security. Yeah. Yeah. So beans are just close to my heart, they are dear to my heart, and they are dear to the hearts of every farmer from Uganda and the region. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Elizabeth. And I think with your support, with your large network of farmers, I think we're going to hit this goal no problem. And I think the ambition can continue. So thank you so much. Jennifer, can I turn to you? Anything to add? I know AGRA is obviously very much working across this region as well, looking at beans, and we obviously have talked a lot about beans. What would you add?
Okay, so first and foremost, to just add to the personal and cultural experience of beans as well. As I was sitting there, I was doing my homework and actually looking at pictures of Elizabeth's farm with beans. And you know, I'm a granddaughter of a farmer, a granddaughter of a chef, and I'm married to a chef. So I counted 17 bean dishes in my own culture. And so coming back to Gerda, anybody who's in Nairobi, January, I will request my chef partner to actually make a bean dish table so that we can continue this conversation. So my friends here at BCG, you're welcome, Elizabeth, if you're in Nairobi. We'll host it. So, but then coming back to AGRA, and I would like to really thank you, Paul, for being at the AGRF. Because I think first and foremost, what I really liked about the Beans is How campaign at the AGRF is that you helped us to change the narrative on when it comes to food systems transformation. We want to sensationalize actually certain aspects and not always take it from a negative but also optimistic perspective. And one of the things that we were talking about is how do we actually start launching superfoods coming from the African continent that especially African consumers have a specific relationship with, as Elizabeth just shared. And I think the Beans is How campaign created that opportunity, bringing the chefs and a different perspective actually to the discussion on food systems. So thank you for that, and let's continue that. But coming back to the farmer, AGRA has always focused on creating an enabling environment for farmers to increase their productivity. And one of the areas that we particularly focused on was two. One, how do we support farmers in having access to improved seeds and extension services? How do we cover the last mile? Because irrespective of what innovation, technology, approach we would like to implement, if we cannot reach our farmers, we are nowhere. What is the business model that will ensure that it's available, accessible, affordable to farmers? So that is one. But number two also, and sorry, just to come back on that, I'm happy to announce that the Rockefeller Foundation actually announced $11 million of grant funding, not to AGRA alone, but a series of institutions. But AGRA specifically will receive funding to focus on increasing farmers' access to fortified beans and maize, bringing to the table our specific expertise to increase access to technology, work with our farmers, but, and this is the second point, how do we link farmers to markets? Because, and I think we're all guilty of that, in the past 20 decades, we've talked a lot about markets and how to work with the private sector, but our main focus was on productivity. So really the challenge for the coming 2 decades is how do we sustainably link farmers to market and make sure that regional markets in Africa work? So I think that's what I would like to add to the conversation.
Thank you so much. And that is amazing to hear about that contribution already. That sets a great foundation for really taking forward and driving, working alongside farmer groups across the region to really see how we can drive that forward. Stefina, WBCSD was one of the second partners to really sign on to this Beans is How campaign. So thank you so much. But I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about why you see value in this mission and why is there interest in mass behavior change and really driving forward these kinds of things. And maybe just a short comment on on companies and how they can play a role.
Yes, I think one point we have not talked about a lot is how can we link farmers to consumers, and I think I'm here also to present that. So the World Business Council for Sustainable Development is a CEO-led community of 230 large companies, and we all come together to transform systems. Actually, I personally work a lot on how can we transform the way we produce ingredients by scaling up regenerative practices, and bringing to the market is one of our first key drivers. But today I'm actually representing a project which is about how can we shift dietary patterns, how can we shift diets, so and to our system. First, I want to say thrilled to support this campaign because this is strongly aligned with our mission. How can we promote plant-forward based diets. We have done a lot of research and developed tools. It's complex, but what I want to say is we are really very much supportive of the way you have structured the campaign. We're looking to solve a massive behavior change. This is something that one single actor, of course, cannot solve alone, and we're really particularly proud of how you have assembled so many actors around the table, and we really believe the whole system needs to be in the room if we really want to achieve maybe a triple beans consumption, as you were saying. So that's how we can support the campaign, which is important. Let's try this one. I can add how we can support the campaign. Well, as a community of companies, we can support it first. We really want to rally the private sector companies around the campaign. So I'm thinking about retailers, as you were mentioning. How can they actually really put beans forward on the shelves? I'm talking about food service providers. You're very much saying it. How can they really develop nutritious, tasty, and maybe we can. I was really thinking about a challenge about beans recipes, because we need to make beans sexy. So we would be very much thrilled. And last but not least, as a coalition, we have developed several research tools on behavior change, and we would love also to apply this to the beans campaign and support you with the research tools we have.
Well, this conversation is so exciting. I mean, each of you I could talk to for hours, and I think we're gonna have many more of these conversations as we go forward in the launch. Encourage everyone to please chase up with people after. We're running out of time. I'm going to have to move on. But this is just the beginning. Launches are exciting because they're not the end of the conversation. They're the beginning of the conversation. And so as we go forward, please come and talk to our farmers. Elizabeth, you want to say one sentence? I'll give you that, and then I'm going to move on. But you've got...
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. So now the current buzzword is regenerative agriculture. And I believe beans are one of those crops that should be a priority when we talk of regenerative agriculture, because they can, fix nitrogen in the soil. They're short maturing, they're drought tolerant, and they're also pest tolerant. And as a federation, we've been working with farmers. We have a eGranary platform, which is a mobile platform that aggregates data on our farmers. But we've realized that most of the data that is available is only on production. So I think we also need to see data done on the consumption of beans. I don't know, it will call for, an ecosystem of actors coming together to see that we come up with reliable data that talks about the consumption of beans, and also need to see investments made in terms of promoting beans. I'm happy that AGRA has announced that their next phase will be in supporting beans, and we are ready to partner with you, but also to partner with everyone in the House who is ready to promote beans. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, Stefana, and Jennifer. It was really great to hear the farming experience, the link to technology and innovation to get to market, and how we also think about consumers. So thank you very much. We had hoped to have a little bit of time to hear from the floor, but we're going to keep moving at the moment, and I'll come back if we have a second. I'm just going to invite our final speaker. It's an honor to invite His Excellency Dr. Yaya, who has been the permanent representative of Nigeria to the Rome-based food agencies. He was the chair of CFS, very well known to many, and a big advocate. And he also happens to be a bean farmer himself. So please welcome His Excellency. We can stand. Let's stand. Let's stand. Okay. Tell me, your favorite bean?
I'm not going to go scientific. It is brown beans. For breakfast, black-eyed white beans for lunch, with rice or gari, which is made out of cassava, or with yam or sweet potato for dinner. My mother was a wise woman. She fed me on that for about 8 years before I started primary school. But more importantly, don't laugh. She breastfed me for 3 years. So you can see how the combination of breast milk and beans with all it's done on my faculty is helping. Just 1 minute. Who can guess my age? No, let's be serious. Let's be serious. Who can? Try. Yes, my brother. Near, but not up to it. Right on. Yes. 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 Thank you, sister. Bless you. Yeah. And please, let's do this. We in the developing world have that advantage, but let's publicize it. A lot of people in the global north need to eat more beans, and then you'll overcome obesity and some of the diseases that are creating problems for us. Generally, if you eat beans properly, and I listen to Gerda, there are so many recipes for beans. Either you make it into paste and eat it with vegetables, you make it into akara, which is fried, or you make it into moi moi, that's my language, which you made into paste and wrap it with leaves, either banana leaves or other leaves, and boil it. Excellent. So beans has so many recipes. So when you are looking for chefs, get the celebrity ones, but go to those mamas, the mothers that produce food in the marketplace or in their shops. And you get the best recipe, the tastiest beans, and of course, you go there every day. That's my suggestion.
This is amazing, and you're a testament to beans and the role that they can play, but also the ambition. I think we need to organize at a CFS maybe some recipes and a reception of some sort together to showcase some of those recipes. What do you think?
Let us do that. And no, seriously, because for me, these are practical things. Yeah. I'm tired of just hearing and hearing. Let us do. One more thing. In my family, my wife is the best bean cooker. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And all my children will beg mommy, please cook beans and send to us, either in the US or in Nigeria or in the UK. And I said, my wife will not cook for you all anymore. Send your wives to come and learn it, and then you can eat it.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you for spending some time with us. We're excited to have you on board on this campaign, so thank you so much. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us today at the launch of Beans is How campaign. We're very excited about driving this forward. This has just been the start. We do have another event tomorrow, I mentioned, at the Food and Agriculture Pavilion, but I just want to have the final word to our hosts here from the UN Climate Change Global Innovation Center. So, Carlos, please come and just close us out on this official launch. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope this microphone will bear with me. But I'm really glad, I'm very delighted, and it's an honor to close this session. I really would like to thank Paul Newnham and the team and the SDG2 hub that has been part and a very strategic partner of the Global Innovation Hub. At the Global Innovation Hub, we are looking into transformative innovation that can really help us to advance the implementation of the Paris Agreement and opening the space to areas that are very impactful. When we look at the deliverables that we have for this COP, we are counting around 21 specific deliverables that we will take them forward to COP28. And Beans' House was one of the top products that we would like really to stress and highlight and advance and offer all of our space for innovation to move this initiative forward. We see the combined benefits of different angles. We are very thrilled on the discussion, so please count on us. We will be very happy to continue collaborating. And to close, I would like also to congratulate Paul and the team for being one of the pioneers in the establishment of a high-level working group on food and nutrition. This is one of the core human needs that is being also one of the key activities of the Global Innovation Hub. Thank you so much for your leadership. We look forward to continue collaborating for the progress of the high-level working group on food and nutrition. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.